So let's say you're single and you've been single for a while and you're finding like, okay, I'm going to go on Tinder or Bumble or Hinge. I'm a little out of the dating app scene, but you're going to go on one of the dating apps and you are going to, swipe left or right on some of the people that you see. Now, let's say you see a guy and his profile says, nice guy, has a dog, likes pizza, 5'11". That's it. So technically accurate, but not a lot of spark. Now, let's say same guy, but his bio says loyal golden retriever energy in human form. I'll bring the pizza, you bring the sarcasm. Weekend plans equal hiking, cooking something from TikTok, and laughing until our cheeks hurt. Swipe right if you want a partner who'll hype you up, hold your hand during horror movies, and actually text you back. So, which bio is more interesting? The second one, right? But what's interesting is it's the same person and essentially kind of saying the same thing, but in a little bit of a different way. Now, the second one works better because it shows personality, it creates emotional connection, it communicates a vibe, right? It highlights the benefits of dating them versus just describing who they are. You'll notice in the second one, the profile isn't just about the dude, like nice guy, has a dog, 5'11". It's actually about you too and what the experience is going to be like dating you, right? Now, this is a sort of perfect parallel to the difference between your program or your package or your course or whatever it is that you're selling versus the offer. A lot of people just assume because they've built a program, because they've put together some sort of package, because they have something to sell, that that is the offer, but the two are obviously connected, but they are not the same, right? So in this example that we just used, the individual, the profile is the program, but the bio is the offer, right? And there's a big difference between A and B, between option one and option two that I just said, right? And so the big difference between the offer versus the program or package is that the program is the delivery vehicle, right? It's the way in which you help them. It is the things that you do to help them get from A to B, essentially what they get inside their program. But the offer is the marketing wrapping paper. So it's how you position it. It's the transformation that you offer. It's the hook. It's the promise. And it's the unique proprietary method, which we're going to talk a little bit more about in just a little bit. Now, if you're listening to this podcast in real time, the first week of September, when this episode drops, my free challenge is next week. The Create and Sell Your Signature Program Challenge is going to run from September 8th to September 11th. And we are going to cover so many things. And during this 4 days, you're going to get free training from me. At the end of each day, I'm going to give you a task. And if you complete that task, you will get free coaching and feedback from me at the end of the day. So we're going to go over your program topic, which is essentially your niche. We're going to talk about how to structure your program, which we're going to kind of dive a little bit more into that in this episode today. We're going to talk about pricing and how to actually launch your program and get it in front of the people of whom you want to sell to. Okay. And so you'll get free feedback from me. We have prizes, giveaways. It's going to be a super fun experience. So if you want to sign up, just go to kendraperry.net/challenge. That's kendraperry.net/challenge. Now, if it's beyond September 11th, then I'm sorry, but you've missed it, but I will be doing it again in the future. All right. Back to the difference between a program versus an offer. So just to reiterate, and hopefully this will start to make sense as we go through this episode, the program, the package, the session, the course, whatever it is that you're selling is the delivery vehicle. It's the way in which you help the person move from problem to solution. But the offer is more about how you communicate and express the program to your offer. So it's how you position it, the transformation, the promise, the unique methodology. I'm going to give you another example. So imagine walking into a boutique Maybe you're looking to buy a dress, and the salesperson says, this dress is 100% bamboo, has side pockets, and it comes in 5 sizes. You're like, okay, cool. But now imagine they say, this is the dress that got our customer Jessica her dream job because it made her feel so confident, like a boss, that the second she walked into that interview, she was on fire and she got the job offer. Which one is more compelling? Which one is more interesting? Right? Sure, bamboo, yeah, pockets, cool. Like these are functional things. Like, yeah, we want to know material. Yeah, side pockets, great. I could maybe put my phone or my keys in there. Like 5 sizes, great. It's probably going to be in my size. But the second one hits more of the emotions. You're like, oh my God, this dress helps someone land their dream job. Let me see that dress. I'm going to try on this dress. Maybe I'm going to feel fire in this dress, right? That's the difference between the program and the offer. Okay. And this is a big reason why most coaches and practitioners aren't great at selling and aren't great at communicating the value of their offer, because they give the first example. They say the dress is bamboo, comes in 5 sizes, and it has side pockets, right? So they list the features like the number of calls, the meal plans, the PDFs, the resources, the video modules, the Facebook group, right? And I'm not saying that stuff is not important. I know there's a lot of business coaches out there that will be like, that's, people don't care about that stuff. People don't care. People don't care. Just, sell them the result, sell them the result. And I mean, I don't agree with that. People want to know what they get. People ask me these questions all the time. When are the calls? How many calls do I get? What does this access to look like? People actually do care about the things that they get, especially the support, because I believe really what people are buying, what the market is demanding these days, is the support, personalization, and community versus like the stuff that they get versus the modules, meal plans, information, right? So people do care about that stuff, but if that's the only thing you use to try to sell your program, then you don't have an offer and you become Tinder dude saying like, hey, I eat pizza and I'm 5'11", and people are like, great, that's basic as fuck, who cares, right? And so a lot of people, when they are building their offer or building their program, they're just thinking about the stuff they're going to add, and they think that adding more stuff makes it more valuable. But what makes it more valuable is actually the result and actually how you position it and communicate it. Because truthfully, if people go through your program and you're a coach, you're educated, you're experienced, whatever, you've gotten people result, like you are probably feeling pretty confident that if people actually do your program, they do the work, they commit, they're probably going to feel better. They're probably going to get a result. Right? But people aren't going to be willing to invest in the program if the offer is not present and if the offer is not compelling. Okay. So it's really the distinction between, oh, you get 12 sessions over 3 months, to we're going to get to the root of your bloating in 90 days. And we're not going to give up the favorite foods that you love. You can still eat popcorn. You can still eat chocolate. You can still eat bread. And I'm going to be like, the woman or man or whoever with bloating, I'm like, oh, great, because I've been restricting every food to try to not look like I'm 6 months pregnant after I eat pretty much every meal. And you're saying I'm not going to have to give up food and eat this restricted diet anymore? Cool. Okay. And it's a really easy mistake to make when you're new, because who's teaching you this? If you do get any business training in the certification health program that you did, it's usually pretty basic. I've been privy to a few of the business coaching or business modules or business, add-ons to some of these coaching programs. And, they're not terrible. Like they give you the basics, but none of these people are going to teach you about the difference between a program and an offer, right? They might show you how to put together a package or show you how to build a program, which is great, but you're not going to get taught about the offer. And, I had the exact same problem when I started, right? I did not understand the difference. So the first time I tried to sell a course, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, it was called Hormone Power. It helped women in their 30s balance hormone imbalance. I thought I was going to have this passive course model. I thought I was going to make $15,000 on this launch. And I did everything I was told to do. I built the program. I built my email list leading up to the launch with ads. I ran ads to the launch. I had the webinar and I had the sales emails. I did all the things and I barely made any sales. I made like 3 sales at $397, which honestly, considering it was my first launch, was not terrible. But then I tried launching it 3 more times and I made 0 sales. So it just really wasn't a success. And looking back at that, I just wasn't set up for success because even the coach I was working with me at the time was a copywriter, but didn't really understand messaging and didn't understand that what I was selling was a course, but I didn't actually have an offer. Because I just focused on, you're going to get video modules, you're going to get transcripts, you're going to get cheat sheets, you're going to get a Facebook group, you're going to get 12 modules. And there was no offer. And actually, it's pretty surprising that I made any sales at all. And honestly, one of those 3 sales was a refund request. So, it was pretty disheartening. But that was the big reason why it didn't sell, is because there was no offer in place. Okay, so let's talk about what actually makes a good offer. So an offer is compelling. It's irresistible when you have a very clear and specific transformation. Right? This is where we need to niche down and determine not only what problem we are going to help people solve, but who we are going to help. Okay. We need to come up with a proprietary step-by-step process. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this in a little bit. We need to be focused on a real painful problem that your audience wants solved, right? That is the niche. We need a compelling promise that's easy to understand and hard to ignore. We need to be very clear on who it's for and why it's different. And this proprietary process is going to be part of why it's different. And it also needs to include urgency, credibility, and objections baked into the messaging. Now, obviously, yes, we want to talk about the human, who it's for. We want to speak to the pain points, how it's going to help them solve their pain points, the ultimate result and offer that they are going to get. But how do we differentiate the program and turn it into an offer when we are dealing with a very saturated market, and where, if you're in a more competitive niche, which most people are helping with things like weight loss, fatigue, anxiety, acne, like these are more competitive spaces. How do you actually make it different? Well, this comes down to the proprietary process. Now, I will also refer to this as the unique methodology. It's essentially the same thing, but I really want to define what proprietary means in this context. Proprietary means something that is uniquely yours. It's created, named, and owned by you. Okay? It's not something copied. It's not generic. It's not pulled from someone else's framework. It's a very specific process, method, or approach that you developed, even when it's based on things you learned elsewhere, which is going to be true for all of us, right? Because we are all just learning things from other people. Unless we're out there actually doing the cutting edge research, we're learning from other people. But we're not just taking it all from one person. We're taking a little bit from there, a little bit from there, a little bit from like the program we did in herbalism. Maybe we did a Reiki course, so we're going to bring in some energy work. We're also nutritionists. We have lived experience. We've solved our own problem. And so we're kind of just taking little bits and pieces from everything to the point where it is uniquely yours. Okay. So it's wrapped up into your own language, your own frameworks, your own philosophy, and your own unique spin. What I teach in Health Coach Accelerator, I've learned from other people's. I've learned some stuff from doing. Some stuff is uniquely mine. Like I put it into practice and I was like, okay, this is how this works. But it's not unique in that like you can find this stuff everywhere online, because like I'm not the first person to do this stuff, right? But I've taken it from so many different places. I've put it into practice. I've observed how it actually works with my students, with my clients, and I've created my own way. We call it the Signature Program Success System. So it's your way of helping your clients get results and no one else has it, right? And people get confused by this because, for example, if you did the functional nutrition program that I did, they kind of tell you to create a package, and everyone's doing it the same way. Everyone's kind of following the 5-step framework. They're kind of setting up the program and the package and the sessions. But how we can actually make this different is bake a method into it that is a little bit different. Okay. And so we can give it different names. We can put our own unique spin on it, right? We can create frameworks with specific names. And ultimately, what we want to do is we want to create that method, that system, that framework, whatever you want to call it. So it could be a fitness coach calling their method the Strong AF method. It could be a hormone specialist's cycle and sync slay system, right? It could be your own signature program success system inside Health Coach Accelerator, which is what I teach. Okay. So even when you're teaching concepts that others teach, it's the way that you organize it. It's the way that you name it, and it's the way that you explain it that makes it proprietary. Okay. Again, that meaning is what makes it uniquely yours. It becomes a part of your brand identity, right? It makes your offer instantly more memorable, more credible, more buyable, more irresistible. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say your program promises to help someone heal their gut. Cool. So do like 4,000 other practitioners on Instagram, right? Like a lot of practitioners are out there helping with gut health. So what makes the no-brainer choice? Well, it's your proprietary method, right? It's not just what you teach, it's how you get them there in a way that no one else does, right? When it comes to gut health, there's a lot of really common things that people do. And I'm not a gut health expert, but usually there's going to be something around like killing pathogens. Usually there's going to be something around probiotics, prebiotics, right? Building those beneficial microbial communities. There's usually going to be something about like what we put into our bodies, stress, sleep. Like there's really common things that most people are going to be teaching, but how can you order it? How can you package that? How can you organize that in a way that is different, right? So maybe you do things a little bit differently. Maybe what you've noticed, or maybe even what you learned, is that the first thing you do is you kill the parasites. But you're just like, I find when we do that first, it just kind of kills the gut flora, and maybe we need to build first. So maybe in your program, you actually spend a bunch of time like building beneficial communities with prebiotics, with probiotics, and you don't actually do any of the killing until later on in the process, right? Or maybe you use very specific herbal combinations to kill things like parasites, right? You are different. You have a different background. You have different experience. You have different training. So how can you package it? And in the end, if you've been taught a specific framework in the program that you did, like in the certification program that you did, just take that, give it different names, teach it a little bit differently, and it makes it yours, right? So what this shows people, and why this actually creates a compelling offer, is because it shows people that you have a plan for them. You have a plan for them that's been tested. This is what we do with all our clients, and it works. It's unique to yours, and it's just not some recycled protocol from a textbook, right? So think of it like this. A generic offer that isn't compelling and isn't irresistible just says, I'll help you lose weight. Okay. A compelling offer says, I'll help you reverse weight loss resistance using my 5-phase metabolic reboot method. We don't track macros, we don't track calories, and you don't have to give up wine and popcorn. Do you see the difference there? Your method, the offer, is your positioning. It proves that you're not just winging it. It proves that you've thought this through and that you've designed it specifically for the very specific type of person you help, right? It builds credibility. Because if you've named your process, it sounds like something that's been done before, and that builds trust. Even if it's your first client, they don't need to know that yet. The bottom line is a bunch of coaching calls and PDFs doesn't make an offer. It can make a package, it can make a program, but having a clear method to solve a specific problem for a specific person, that's what creates a compelling offer and makes people say, take my money. Okay. So what people buy are offers, not programs or courses or packages. Okay. If we think about a $10,000 Rolex, the watch, if you know, of course, you know what I'm talking about. It's not about the materials. Like, I'm not going to sell that Rolex. You're not going to see a commercial for a Rolex that's like, this is the material. This is how many screws. This is the quality of the touch screen. I don't actually, is there a touch screen on a Rolex? Clearly I'm ignorant about a Rolex, but we're not going to say like, it's got a sturdy band and it has this type of glass screen and this is the material. And, like, you're never going to see a commercial for a Rolex like that, because what actually sells the Rolex is the status, the lifestyle, and the recognition, right? I can get a good watch for probably $50 to $100. A good watch that is stylish, that looks good. So why do people buy the Rolex? Status, recognition, right? Notoriety. So it's the same thing for coaching. You're not just selling sessions, you're selling outcomes and identity upgrades, right? People make buying decisions emotionally. Now, they justify it with logic. Okay. But what makes them make their first decision is the emotion. So if you put a Rolex in front of me and you just tell me about the materials, and if there was no status involved in that, if nobody cared about a Rolex, and if it didn't signify anything, I would just go with the $100 watch, right? But what makes me want to buy the Rolex is being able to flash it around, being like, look, bitches, I got a fucking Rolex. It's about status. And people like me don't care about the Rolex, but there obviously is a huge portion of people in this world who care about that thing. So people are buying with emotions, but they're going to justify it with logic. So with the Rolex example, they're going to think about, wow, when I'm walking into that function, that party, flashing my Rolex, people are going to be thinking, wow, she made it, right? And I'm going to be like, that's what I want. Okay. But how I'm going to justify it is I'm going to be like, okay, it's got a 5-year warranty. That makes sense. It has a 30-day money back guarantee. Okay. It fits well. I can get it readjusted, whatever, right? Like, those are the things that we back up buying decisions with. But the first decision is always coming from the emotions. Okay. So your offer is the bridge between your program and the desire that they already have. Okay. So how do we fix this? So we need to stop leading with the process and start leading with the promise. Okay. And so what I mean by that is, yes, we want to talk about features, but we want to always start, whether it's on a sales call, webinar, in the DMs, we always want to start with like that proprietary method, how we actually help people, and showing them why it's going to help them get from problem to solution. Okay. After we have gone through the emotional selling points and actually express the offer, that's when we can get into more of the features. Okay. So what is the exact problem that you solve? Who do you solve it for? What is the very unique way you help them solve the problem? Your unique methodology or proprietary process. If you are joining the challenge next week, we are talking about this on day 2. KendraPerry.net/challenge, KendraPerry.net/challenge. I'm slurring my words because I'm getting excited. Okay. What outcomes are you promising? Who is this perfect for? And why do they need to buy it now? Okay. This is what we do in Health Coach Accelerator. Okay. We literally rip your program, your package, whatever it is that you do apart, and we build it the right step-by-step way, right? We help you come up with this proprietary method. This is critical to your success right now because there are so many coaches online who are just selling like packages, and there's actually no offer in place. So by actually creating an offer, by actually sitting down and spending some time thinking about your method, about your specific process, you're already ahead of like 99% of the coaches out there. Okay. So the program is what they get. The offer is why they want it. Okay. You can have the most amazing program in the world that gets people amazing results, but if the offer sucks, no one's buying. Okay. All right, my friend. I hope you will join me in the challenge next week, starting September 8th. Go to KendraPerry.net/challenge. I'll also put that link in the show notes. Now, if you're listening to this way in the future, I'm sorry, the challenge is now over. But I'm sure I will be running it again soon. Thank you so much for listening today. I will see you next Monday, same place, same time, where I help you become wealthy AF.